The galaxy had known peace for 10,000 years. The Galactic Council of 7 species had maintained order across 1 million worlds. Trade routes stretched between star systems like golden threads. Civilizations flourished under the protection of ancient treaties. Then the came. No one knew where they emerged from. Some believed they crawled out from the dark spaces between galaxies. Others thought they had slept beneath dead worlds for millions of years. The truth did not matter. What mattered was their hunger. There were nightmare creatures. Their bodies stood 15 feet tall, covered in black armor that grew from their own flesh. They had 6 limbs ending in claws that could tear through starship hulls. Their faces held no eyes, only rows of teeth and sensory organs that could detect life from miles away. They did not negotiate. They did not trade. They only consumed. The first world to fall was Prime. They were a gentle species. They were artists and philosophers. They had no military. When the fleet appeared in their sky, they tried to communicate. They sent messages of peace. They offered friendship. They answered with fire. Within 3 days, 8 billion were dead. They did not just kill them. They fed on them. They absorbed their biological matter and grew stronger. Their numbers. The Galactic Council responded with force. Admiral Hun of the Empire assembled the largest fleet in galactic history. 200,000 warships from all 7 species gathered at the Meridian Cluster. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could withstand supernovas. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, only 37 ships remained. Admiral Hun was among the dead. They had not even lost a quarter of their forces. Their organic technology adapted to every weapon fired against them. Plasma cannons became useless after the first hour. Particle beams failed by the second. Nuclear warheads did nothing but make them angrier. The council fell into despair. World after world burned. The collective lost the hive watched their queen die. The traitors scattered to the void. Species that had existed for millions of years vanished in weeks. Commander Al of the remnant fleet stood on the bridge of her damaged cruiser. She had just watched 2 more planets fall. Her communications officer approached with trembling hands. "Commander, we have received a signal from the outer rim. It is from a species we have never contacted. They call themselves humans." Al knew of humans. Everyone did. They were a young species from a small blue world called Earth. They had only achieved space travel 200 years ago. The Council had voted to observe them but not make contact. They were considered too primitive, too aggressive, too emotional to join civilized space. "What do they want?" Al asked. "They say they have been watching the war. They say they want to help." Al laughed bitterly. "Help? With what? Their planet has not even colonized their own solar system properly. What can they possibly offer against The communications officer swallowed hard. "They say they are sending something. They call them war machines." 3 days later, Al stood at the observation deck of Station Omega-7, the last major outpost before space. The station held 50,000 refugees. They were tired, hungry, and afraid. They knew they were coming. They had perhaps 2 weeks before the horde arrived. A flash of light appeared in the distance, then another, then dozens more. Al watched as ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, but these were not like any ships she had seen before. They were ugly, brutal. Where council ships were elegant curves and smooth surfaces, these vessels were harsh angles and exposed weapons. Every inch of them screamed violence. A voice crackled through the station's communication system. It was rough and confident. "This is Admiral of the United Earth Defense Force. We brought some toys. Permission to dock." Al granted permission. She met Admiral in the station's hangar. He was shorter than her, like all humans. His skin was weathered. His eyes held the look of someone who had seen war, real war. Behind him stood soldiers in heavy armor carrying weapons she did not recognize. "You came to help?" Al asked. Nodded. "We have been watching this war for months. We could not sit by any more." "Forgive me, Admiral, but your species is young. You have not faced the. Your weapons will not work against them. Ours did not." Smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Commander, you do not understand humans. We have been fighting each other since we climbed down from trees. War is in our blood. It is in our history. It is in our soul. Every piece of technology we ever invented, we first asked how it could kill." He gestured to the viewport where his fleet floated. "Those ships out there are not exploration vessels. They are weapons. We built them because we always knew something out there might want to hurt us. We were right." Al felt something she had not felt in months: hope. They arrived 8 days later. Their fleet darkened the stars around Station Omega-7. Millions of their soldiers waited in their ships. Their commanders had never known defeat. The human fleet moved forward. Al watched from the station's command center. Council observers from every surviving species gathered around screens. They expected another massacre, another loss. The first wave charged toward the human ships. Their organic fighters screamed through space like living missiles. The human ships did not retreat. Instead, their hulls opened. Massive cannons emerged. They were not plasma weapons. They were not energy beams. They were something primitive, something old. They were kinetic weapons that fired metal slugs at a fraction of the speed of light. Cannons that launched explosive shells the size of buildings. They had adapted to energy weapons over centuries of conquest. They had never encountered anything like this. The first volley tore through their formations like paper. Ships exploded by the thousands. Their organic armor, designed to absorb energy, shattered under the impact of pure physical force. Admiral's voice came through the speakers. "All units deploy the mechs." From the largest human ships, bay doors opened. Massive humanoid machines launched into space. They stood 200 feet tall. Each one carried weapons that would shame a battleship. They moved with terrifying speed and precision. They tried to swarm them. Their soldiers latched onto the machines with their claws. The mechs simply pulled them off and crushed them. Al could not believe what she was seeing. The same creatures that had slaughtered billions were being torn apart by human technology. The war machines moved through the fleet like predators among prey. One mech pilot's communication was broadcast to the station. It was a young human woman. She was laughing. "These things bleed just like everything else. Keep firing." The battle lasted 14 hours. When it ended, the fleet was destroyed, completely. Not a single enemy ship remained. The humans had lost ships too, many of them, but they had won. Admiral contacted the station. His voice was tired but proud. "Commander Al, the immediate threat has been neutralized. But this was just one fleet. We need to find where these things come from and end this war for good." Over the following months, humans shared their technology with the Council species. They taught them how to build kinetic weapons. They showed them the designs for their war machines. They trained soldiers in combat tactics that Council species had never imagined. The united forces pushed the back. World by world, system by system, they reclaimed what had been lost. The final battle took place at a world that had made their nesting ground. It was a dead planet, covered in organic structures where new were born. Destroying it would end the threat forever. Admiral led the assault personally. His mech was the first to land on the planet's surface. Around him, thousands of war machines from every species followed. The Queen waited for them. She was massive, the size of a mountain. Her voice echoed in their minds. "You cannot destroy us. We have consumed 1,000 civilizations. We will consume you too." His response was broadcast to every soldier. "Lady, we destroyed ourselves 100 times on our own world. We survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that lasted generations. We put ourselves in metal boxes and shot ourselves into the void because we were curious. We are the species that looked at the atom and thought about making weapons. You are not the worst thing we have faced. You are just the latest." The queen attacked. The battle shook the planet. In the end, Smek stood over her broken body. His sword, a blade of pure energy, was buried in her skull. "This is for Prime," he said, "and every other world you touched." They died that day, every last one of them. The war that had seemed unstoppable was over. The Galactic Council held a ceremony to honor the humans. Representatives from every species attended. They offered Earth a seat on the council. They offered them wealth, technology, and gratitude. Admiral accepted the seat, but his speech surprised everyone. "We did not come here because we wanted power or glory. We came because we saw people suffering and we could help. That is what humans do. We fight for each other. We fight for strangers. We fight because giving up is not in our nature." He paused and looked at the assembled species. "But let me be clear, we are not your weapons. We are your friends. The next time darkness comes, we will stand beside you, not because you asked, but because it is right." The galaxy had changed forever. The young species from the small blue world had proven themselves. They were not too primitive. They were not too aggressive. They were exactly what the universe needed. In the years that followed, humans spread across the stars. They brought their war machines, yes, but they also brought their art, their music, their stubborn refusal to accept defeat. And the galaxy was better for it. Commander Al wrote in her memoirs many years later, "We thought we were the civilized ones. We thought humans were children playing with fire. We were wrong. They were not playing. They had mastered the flame long before we ever knew fire existed. And when the darkness came, they were the light that saved us all." The war had raged unstoppable until the humans arrived.